Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll dive into the story of a classic chat. A crazy woman ended up slandering him everywhere. We'll see how this woman conducted an in-depth investigation of this man, how she contacted his wife, exposed him to everyone, all simply because she wasn't as special to him as she thought she was. Your support means the world to us. Give us a like and subscribe to the channel. We're aiming for 150,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Share your experiences and advice in the comments. That's what helps this community grow. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a single video. Now, let's get started.
Guys, I've been unintentionally gatekeeping this story, and now it's time. About a month ago, I went on a first date with a man I had met on Hinge. We'd been talking for like almost a month before we went on this first date. On our first date, he told me he had been separated for 2 years and divorced for 2 months, which felt a little quick to me. Yeah. I shared with him that I had been recently love bombed and that I was like really trying to slow things down on the dating front and take things really slow because I learned my lesson. Right after the first date, next day, he immediately asked me on a second date. I'm like, no, don't want to move too quickly. Ask me on a date for the next day. No, don't want to move too quickly. Tuesday comes around. He's like, do you want to go on a date tomorrow? Meaning Wednesday. I was like, look at you planning in advance. Let's do it. I said yes to Wednesday. I had plans that Tuesday night to go over to a friend's house for a going away party. And he texted me and was like, hey, I can't wait until tomorrow to see you. Do you want to just grab quick drinks before your going away party? And I was like, yeah, that'd be great. So we go out to drinks at this awesome spot in DC. And while we're sitting there, we're having normal conversation. And I'm joking about the fact that he is 36 because I always find myself dating people in the age range 34 to 36. It's just like my sweet spot. And he's like, well, actually, I have to tell you something. I'm actually 39. My age is wrong on my Hinge. And I was like, do you think I'm stupid? If you got divorced 2 months ago and that's when you made your Hinge, you were lying. If you made it back when you were 36, you were cheating on your wife. So what? Also, I'm pretty sure your Hinge updates every year, like as you get older. Like, I'm pretty sure it changes by itself. So I was like, what the fuck? That's so weird of you. I literally demanded he show me his physical ID because I thought that was so weird. And I was really creeped out. And honestly, I should have been out then. So I see his ID. He's actually 39. And I say to him, this is so weird of you. There's no good time when you're dating girls on Hinge to tell them that you're not the age you put on your profile. Like, you could tell them in that first message, or you could tell them like when on your wedding day, and no matter what, that's fucking weird of you. Like, that's never gonna be a normal conversation that girls are just okay with. Like, just make it your regular age. Obviously, you're trying to show up on Hinge for like young women who you can whatever. Anyway, so we finish drinks, we kiss, it's a good time. He goes home. I go to my friend's going away party. And I pose a question to the group. I'm like, hey, he lied to me about his age. It feels kind of sus. What does everyone think? My best friend, who was right, is like, get out of that situation. That is freaky, girl. But all my other friends at the party were kind of like, oh, you're just collecting data. Like, that's a first data point. Like, yes, that's concerning, but why don't you collect more data and see how you feel about the guy? Because at the time, I really liked him. We had great chemistry. He was super attractive. Like, we just vibed. But also, like, maybe part of that vibe and part of why that was exciting is because I could sense like something was off, or like we had that chemistry because like there was that excitement and spark. But like a lot of the time, like good healthy relationships start like more of a slow burn, or like with a friendship. Like, I should have known that that spark was indicative of like there's something wrong here. So now it's Wednesday, it's time for our pre-planned date. And the first 2 dates he had come into DC for me. He lives in Maryland. So I said, hey, I'd be happy to come out to Maryland for you. I feel badly that you're always coming to DC. And he was like, well, you don't have a car. And I was like, I have a Metro card. And have you ever heard of that Uber? Or do 36-year-olds not know about Uber? He was like, oh, I have a surprise for you. Be ready at 7.
Oh my God! Wow!
Mystery, absence, and uncertainty will always be your best allies. The greater a woman's interest in you, the greater the discount. This man understands it perfectly. He knows that timing is key and that keeping attraction high means avoiding any hint of the friend zone. She's clearly interested, but her internal dilemma is evident. She's hesitant to give in too quickly because she doesn't want to repeat past mistakes, as she made clear when she said she's been love-bombed before. However, the desire and passion she feels for him throw her off balance. She knows there's something about him that draws her in, even as she tries to rationalize things. He, on the other hand, masters the game effortlessly. He moves quickly, not out of desperation, but because he understands that the initial spark must be seized. He knows that a woman who feels that kind of chemistry and intense desire will be more inclined to set aside her rules and doubts. Because in the end, it's not just about what you say, but about how you make her feel. And as I always say, the more a woman likes you, the bigger the discount. So, let's keep going.
Me, having watched every fucking rom-com, was like, this is so cute and romantic. I'm so excited. Dumb, dumb, dumb. So he comes, he picks me up in his car. I'm like, wow, this is like a real date. He's picking me up, he's driving me to the place, and it's all a surprise. I don't even know where we're going. He takes me to this restaurant in DC called Mercy Me. Food was incredible. And I'm like, thank you so much for dinner. Like, was this a surprise? And he's like, no, I have one more surprise. This man proceeds to say, oh, I have to work in Arlington tomorrow. So I decided to spend the night in DC so I don't have to schlep all the way from Maryland to Arlington for work at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. Spending the night in DC, got a hotel room. But what he didn't do was ask me to stay over with him. Like, he's that good. Like, he didn't ever explicitly ask that. He made me think it was my decision. So dinner ends, we like go to a bar, we grab a couple of drinks. I'm not even drinking. I'm literally like dead sober and I made these decisions. But we walk out of the restaurant. He's like, do you want me to drive you home or do you want to come up to my hotel room? And I was like, I could use a hotel room tour. I go, hotel room tour, one thing leads to another. Take that as you will. Probably wasn't my best call. Anyway, I wake up in the morning at my own house. I'm on a high. I'm like, last night was so amazing. He's texting me. I'm like, we're getting married. But then I'm sitting there and I'm thinking really hard about it. And where he lives in Maryland is like 30 minutes from me. And Arlington is like 20 minutes from me. And I don't understand logically why someone would get a hotel in the city to not have to drive an extra 20 minutes in the morning. Something's not adding up. My spidey senses, something was wrong. My gut, women's intuition, something was off. I start thinking, I offered to come to his. He lives in his own house. I, live in a house with 3 roommates. The only reason I wouldn't want someone to come to my house would be if I was still living with my wife. So that activates the crazy in me. And I go to the internet and I pay for a background check, $25. Highly recommend doing that. Honestly, do it before your first dates. I should have done it way, way back. And I find every single thing about this man, right? Like his entire family, every address he's lived in since his college dorm, every traffic citation he's ever gotten, every piece of dirt on this man. And you know what isn't there? Divorce papers. So I start freaking out. I'm like, why are there no divorce papers? Could they be sealed? Like, are divorce papers even public record? I've never been divorced. I call the Maryland County court system and I ask them, hi, do you have any divorce records under his name and his wife's maiden name? They don't have any. I say, can you tell me if there's a sealed record under either of their names? They say, yes, we can tell you if there's a record, but we can't tell you what's in it. I said, awesome. Do you have records under either of these names? No records in the state of Maryland. I contact my family friend who's a lawyer. I say, hey, do you have to get divorced in the state where you're living? And they said, yeah, you have to get divorced in the state where either you or your partner is living. And I had both their names on the lease of their home address for my background check. I knew they both lived in the state of Maryland since 2012. If they had gotten a divorce, it would be in the Maryland court system. So I'm realizing this man is married. So what do? I go on Facebook and I post in the Are We Dating the Same Guy DC Facebook group. I say, hey, this is Danny. And I include a picture of him. I say, he lied about me to his age. Something feels sus. I tell the whole hotel story and ask anyone if they know anything. Within an hour, my post is blown up. Hundreds of women commenting how sus the hotel thing is and that it's happened to them before. He's definitely married and cheating. A couple hours later, a comment comes in. Hi, I'm the wife. Call me. I'm so sorry to do this, but I have to do a part 2. Come to part 2 to find out what the wife says.
Oh, hell no!
A classic chat. A man who brings nothing material to the table, but knows exactly how to put a woman on an emotional roller coaster. This guy has mastered the art of sparking genuine interest, skillfully wielding mystery, attraction, and seduction so effectively that after just 3 dates, he ends up taking the treasure. Just like it happened with this woman in that hotel room she described as incredible. She feels the passion, the desire, and, most importantly, the uncertainty he carefully planted from the beginning, leading her to give herself completely. The man didn't ask for anything explicitly. He simply let things flow, making her believe the decision was entirely hers. And that, gentlemen, is how you play the game right. Something I must mention is that at the beginning of the video, This woman posted a photo of this man, also in a Facebook group where women claim to be dating the same guy. This not only borders on defamation, but also highlights how dangerous these spaces are becoming. Insecure women like her, who see red flags everywhere and decide to create chaos, sometimes lying, sometimes exaggerating, just to validate their own insecurities. But all of this happened after she slept with him, not before. Now, let's see what the wife had to say. But first, let's check which site she used to dig up this man's background.
Hi guys, good morning. I wanted to come on here and say thank you so much for all of the love and support. I really started this page to talk about dating, mental health, and women's issues, and I'm so glad to see us uplifting and supporting one another in the comments. That said, for the sake of transparency, I did want to let you guys know I am going to private part 2 for the time being for my safety and the safety of his wife. I will be re-uploading a part 2 with a little bit less detail, so please be patient with me. In the meantime, I'm going to answer the main questions I got, which were the resources I used to find out this information. The first resource I used was the background check website. I used Truth Finder. It's a $25 per month subscription, but I think you can do unlimited background checks. I know that's a little bit of a steep price, but I'm willing to pay that for my safety moving forward after this experience. The second resource I learned about after posting in the Facebook group, and it would have saved me a lot of time, and that's Maryland Case Search. That's a website online where you can put in a case number or you can put in any names, and it'll show you any like pending ongoing cases. It'll tell you like if it's been closed or if it's still open, and it includes things like divorce. So if you're looking to see if someone's been divorced in the state of Maryland, Maryland Case Search is the way to go, and I'm sure that they have that for other states as well. I want to say, like, I am a young girl. I'm still learning. This was my first experience like this in dating. I can tell you I have for real learned my lesson this time. So thank you for the people who are being supportive, and I'll be re-uploading part two when I can. Thanks, guys.
Damn!
This type of behavior is a clear danger to men. Here you have a woman who, of her own free will, chose to go out with this man. No one forced her, no one manipulated her. In fact, he even gave her his ID and told her his real age. She chose to go to his apartment, had a great time, and they were simply dating. He owes her nothing about his personal life. These are we dating the same guy? Groups have become weapons of mass destruction for men's reputations, where any accusation, no matter how absurd, becomes a truth to validate collective insecurities. This is a perfect example of how a woman's own decisions can turn into an attack on a man who never even intended to hurt her. She investigated, dug around, searched, and even paid to find something to confirm her doubts. But all of this happened after she freely chose to move forward. She made her own decisions, and now she wants to justify her discomfort by blaming him. Men, be cautious of women like this.
Maybe.
So I pick up the phone, and of course, the first thing I say is, I'm so sorry I'm sleeping with your husband. If you're new here, click on my profile, check out part 1. I'm telling the story of how I found out I was dating a married man. So at this point, I've called the wife after she commented on my Facebook post saying, hey, I'm the wife, call me. And she's like, no sweat off my back. I'm like, what? And she proceeds to tell me the craziest story I've ever heard in my entire life. Here's the thing now. This is her story of her experience with that man. And I recognize that's not necessarily my story to tell, so I'm going to be very conscientious of the details I choose to include, and I would ask that you please respect that. She goes on to tell me that he's cheated on her hundreds of times with at least 20 different women. They still live in the same house, which is, my intuition was right, but in separate bedrooms, and they're not together. They're technically separated. I asked why they weren't divorced yet, and she said he doesn't want to get divorced. Guess what? She knew about me. She said he told her that he was going on a date with me, and he even recapped it after. Not only that, but he was literally talking shit about me. He told her I was crazy and I talked too much. Arguably true, but screw you. But she also told me in that week that we had gone on our first 2 dates, he had also slept with 3 other women. For the last 8 years, he's been sleeping with one woman in particular, which is actually what his job in Arlington was. And they first started sleeping together when she was 19 years old, and he would sneak into her parents' house to hook up with her. He's incredibly abusive, controlling, manipulative. In all seriousness, I cannot recommend strongly enough to stay away from this man because he is very convincing, and even I was swindled. And let me tell you, in this moment, I felt so naive. I was really hard on myself. I felt really guilty and really dumb. How could I let myself be in that position? And honestly, really scared. Like, I was in a room with this man in private, and now hearing that he has done all of these things, like, I put myself in a really dangerous situation, and I don't want anyone else to put themselves in a situation like that, because in retrospect, that's really, really scary, and I could have gotten really hurt. And I think the other thing about this that I've taken away is that I'm feeling really jaded, because how can I ever go on a date again? I talked to this man for a month. We went on 3 dates. I really felt like I had started to know his character and his intentions. And how can I ever trust someone again after this experience? I've paused all my dating apps. Like, I will not be dating for the foreseeable future. I sent him a long series of explicit voice memos. I tried to post them previously. TikTok took it down, understandably, for bullying, harassment. Yeah. I blocked him on everything. I told him then and there that I was about to post his name all over the internet. Here it is if you need it. Because really, my intention with this is to protect other women. As funny as my last story time is, which it is, it's funny, it's a crazy ride. It's also a story about trusting your gut and trusting your intuition. Women's intuition is never wrong, and we will always find out. That's one thing about us women. I reported him to Hinge, and as far as I know, they've shut down his account. Not to say that he couldn't make other profiles or profiles on other apps. And here's my advice to women. Number one, it's not your fault. You did what you could with the information that you had. Number two, trust your gut. If something feels off, it is. Number three, get out at the first red flag. Do not give anyone the benefit of the doubt ever. Remember, you are smart, you have agency, and you can get out of situations like this. Thank you guys for listening, and stay safe out there.
Now you're playing counselor, but let's not forget that you were the one who handed over the treasure after 3 dates because you were crazy about this man. And of course, you liked him precisely because he was mysterious. He didn't manipulate you. He told you he was in the process of divorcing, which is true, but you had only been on 3 dates. He had no obligation to go into detail about his life with you, much less give you explanations. And while you might want to play the victim now, the fact is you willingly chose to go out with him, fully aware that there was no commitment. Let's not forget that, like most women on dating apps, he probably wasn't the only man you were talking to. Or have you conveniently forgotten about your other matches? What really stings is that you found a man you truly liked, but he wasn't the Prince Charming you had idealized. Instead, he was a Chad who played his cards right. He got you caught up in the emotional roller coaster. You couldn't relegate him to the friend zone. And when things didn't turn out the way you wanted, you slandered him, reported him, and even got his dating profile removed. All because he didn't want to continue seeing you after 3 dates. You claim it was for your safety, but let's be honest. You were the one who decided to go to his hotel, fully understanding what that entailed. He didn't force you. You made the decision. And here's the irony. For many women like you, taking responsibility is like kryptonite. This man didn't do anything illegal. He simply dated multiple women, something you yourself do on the apps. So, brothers, beware of women this obsessive. Their chaos knows no bounds, and when they don't get what they want, they will try to destroy you.
So, as you all probably know, I've been talking to a guy, I've been seeing a guy, and it's been almost 3 months. And if you guys know about like the 3 month rule, which I feel like a lot of girls know what I'm talking about, I pretty much told this guy that he's not allowed to ask me out to be his girlfriend for like 3 months since we started like talking / dating. And it's almost that time. And so a week from today, we're going on our first little like trip vacay to Portland. And I have a feeling, I'm not completely sure, but I have a feeling, and my friends have a feeling, that he's gonna ask me out to be his girlfriend on the trip. So I'm saving this in my drafts, and I'm gonna document this the whole way through. Hopefully he doesn't see this. And yeah, stay till the end. Okay, so update, like yesterday we were talking and he was like, "Oh, are you waiting for me to ask you to be my girlfriend?" And I was like, kinda. It was like, I already have the date set in mind. I have the whole like thing planned out. It's just like waiting for the stars to align. Like, I was like trying not to freak out. Anyway. Okay, so just got back from my Portland trip yesterday night, and it happened. I literally had the sixth sense, and I was like, I knew it. And let's just say when it happened, I was like, I don't even know. It's like I knew when it was coming because he even almost hinted it in the car. He was like, "You have no idea, blah blah." And I was like, "Girls have a sixth sense, okay? We know when it's coming." And he was like, "Yeah, no, you have no idea." It was just so funny how it happened because he had it all planned out and it was this close to not working the way he wanted to, and the night was already a mess. Story time coming up, by the way, because that was a whole situation. But yeah, anyways, he asked me, I just put the charm on my other necklace, but he asked me with the heart necklace with our birthstones and name engraved on it.
Genuine interest is non-negotiable. The more interested a woman is, the greater the discount. Look at how this woman plans every detail in her mind. Her sixth sense is nothing more than a reflection of how much this man matters to her. Genuine interest makes everything flow naturally. There's no need to guess or force anything. She simply knows he wants her, and she wants him. When a woman truly likes a man, she doesn't make excuses, doesn't count the time, and even celebrates every little sign of attention because she's living through that emotional roller coaster that only someone who knows how to conquer can create. That, gentlemen, is the true power of seduction when the woman has real interest. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, here are some questions for you. What do you think about this woman's story? Do you believe the man is at fault? Do you think a man should reveal his entire life story to a woman after just 3 dates? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the wall.